Again, episode 4 for Off Lead with Stuart and Emma. So yeah, we're going to jump in quite quickly today. Quickly summarize our last episode 3 that we just did with Poppy on hidden disabilities, just to say how pleased we were with that one, I think.
Yeah, really pleased. Some really good feedback, wasn't there?
Absolutely. And the responses we've got from either private messages or conversations we've had with people since, it's opened my eyes a little bit about how and the different things that we may be able to do to help out a little bit, or
and interestingly, was that people, sorry I interrupted, I do that a lot. What was that, people that were informing you of a hidden disability, or was it just comments? Or
just comments, really?
Okay.
Yeah, and there was a couple of people there that had a few things that they weren't hiding it from anybody, but they did say that they recognized that they had the same sort of things when they were at training days and workshops, that perhaps they felt that they needed to mention it or not need to mention it. Some people think, oh, maybe I can get help from the trainer, and they were happy to get help, and some people that didn't want to.
Yeah, I didn't have any. I mean, there was some nice comments on the post, wasn't there? But I didn't have any direct messages. But I don't know about you. I've got a WhatsApp group for everybody that wants to compete. So we call it our competition group. We swap dates and that sort of thing. And a couple of people in there said, congratulations to Poppy for bringing it and talking about stuff that people don't talk about. And they said, I've got this, I've got that as well. We're bragging or anything like that. So I think it was really nice, and very, very proud of her as well. From my point of view, our sidekick conversation on the whole selfish and selfless thing, that really has opened my brain. I think in a positive way. So I'm very much the sort of person that I do self-analysis a lot. So I look at my own behaviour a lot, which I probably need to stop doing. But I realised how many times I say I. Yeah. And I tried to stop doing that. And the other thing, I was chatting to somebody the other day who was a keen rugby player. Okay. So they used to play like massive amount of high profile rugby years and years ago, and we're very, very successful in it. And there was 3 of us. He had asked somebody what sport they played, and do you play football? No, I played rugby. And this person sat and listened to what this other person was saying about him playing rugby. Not once did he say, oh yeah, I used to do that, or I used to do that. And I was absolutely blown away, because I thought that was a really good personality. And I guess I've learned about myself that I talk too much and need to listen more. And actually, whilst I think I'm doing things for other people, I am, but it is to make me happy. So I've just become a little bit aware that I say I a lot.
That's not a bad thing to. I don't think it's a bad thing to want to do things for yourself and to make yourself feel better about how
it wasn't as a bad thing.
Ideal, but I do understand that about when somebody's talking to you. I think sometimes it's almost a defense mechanism where we tend to turn the story around to ourselves to make ourselves feel a bit better.
I agree.
Or just to include ourselves in that.
It was just weird, and don't get me wrong, I'm not beating myself up about it or anything like that, but I'm like, oh Jesus, I went to say I again. And it's really weird. Really bizarre. Well, while we're on it, one of us is backwards.
Yeah, we are a little bit. I think I've had to flip my screen around a little bit to make the banner work, so we'll have to make sure that we'll sort
yeah.
But it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
So I think it was a really, really great podcast, really amazing. And I know we've said it time and time again, but we want people to come forward.
100%. Get people in.
Any subject, isn't it? I think that was a good one, because it provokes dog appeasement behaviour and dogs doing strange things as well.
The dog behaviour thing was an eye-opener for me as well, because I get into that, especially obviously from a training point of view and my Reiki point of view as well. When I do a little bit of Reiki, I go in it from a dog behaviour when people come to me and say my dog's doing this, and I tend to look at not necessarily the dog, but what the people are doing. what the family
I do it all the time, yeah.
what the family are doing, what the training's doing, what environment the dog's coming in and out of, and all of those sort of things. So it is important, I think, how people react also affects how their dogs react at certain points. Which sort of turns around, I put a post up recently on Facebook regarding we have, I think anyway, over at least the last 12 months, more posts come up after a weekend of dog behavior issues at shows. A couple more people, like dogs leaving the ring, maybe to chase other dogs, maybe to, you know.
Okay, I haven't seen much social media.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's.
Yeah, I put the post up, and I didn't put the post up to sort of point the finger, because I haven't had any experience of it recently about, you know, it's not a thing that I've really seen lots of, but I just seem to see a lot of social media posts about it. And I thought, well, is it that much of a big issue now, or is it just something that because we've got social media, we see it more?
Yeah.
Or what, you know, and if it is an issue, if dogs are leaving the ring, or if we've got dogs that are, so let's say,
okay,
out of control,
let's look at that from 2 points of view then. Is firstly, I think some of the Facebook group, I think things become hot topics, don't they? So I remember one year, like pre-COVID, the hot topic was the rain, because everybody was being dragged out of this show and whether show organisers should be doing X, Y, Z. And then we'll have the hot topic being everybody speeding. So it could just be a hot topic, but let's, from a point of discussion, let's assume that it's not a hot topic and that we are getting more incidents of dogs leaving the ring or dogs being attacked. And
this is like, there's a difference between a dog leaving the ring to pop over to the burger van or pop over to, you know, that sort of thing. I don't think it's that much of a step from chasing or, you know, attacking other dogs. Because if they're leaving the ring for whatever reason, whether it be the burger van or chasing other dogs, it's still an issue.
I think for me, if a dog is choosing to leave the ring, it's for a reason. And
whether that's a reactiveness or a displacement thing.
So that brings us into another thing. I have this a lot kind of from my home work, like my home pet dog stuff, is that the term reactive in itself is misused. So I see this all the time in as I say, dog behavior is I see very, very few what I would class as off the wall reactive. I do a whole workshop on reactivity and seminar and that sort of thing. So define reactive. Okay, I am a reactive person. In other words, if something was to drop off over the other side of my room, I would look. So that is a reaction. Okay, so when you're talking about dog, you know, as a dog trainer, I'm not talking agility. When I go into people's homes and you know, okay, define reactivity for me. Okay, to be honest, Stuart, I probably see about 5% of people that say their dog's reactive are actually reactive. The other 95%, they just bark a little bit or, you know, etc., etc., etc. But so whether it's reactivity or not, yes, it probably is. But I think it's more of a reaction to being uncomfortable in a ring because let's face it.
So would you possibly say more of a redirection?
Yeah, maybe. Sorry, I don't know what's happened there. I'm just going to put this on Do Not Disturb. I am still here. There we go. Sorry. I saw notifications coming.
That's okay.
So it's a reaction to the environment or the environment being the person that they are with. So if a dog doesn't want to do agility with you, it could be because it doesn't like what the agility or the environment is doing to you. So lots of us get nervous and that sort of thing. So, and you would see that. So I remember when Herbie was my first agility dog, sometimes when I used to go wrong, I'd go, oh, God's sake, you know, it's dog's fault, like we all do when we start, and we learn as time goes on that actually it's probably our fault, you know. Herbie used to sit and bite the grass, you know, he would literally bite the grass if he was, so that was his appeasement. So Beth I had a chase issue. So she if, I mean, I dealt with it before I ever put her in the ring, but she could have quite easily chased off.
Yep.
So I think from a reason point of view, firstly, they're finding the environment that they are in not, I don't want to say not satisfying enough, so they go and find another environment. I would say that it's dog handler specific, and it would be impossible for us to put a generic reason on that.
I mean, my point in the post originally was, if it is getting to be an issue or a problem that people are having more and more, firstly, from a responsibility point of view, especially when you're at a show, or I think there's a huge circle of responsibility from everybody. So whether that be the handler, the judge in charge of the ring manager, the show organizer, us as trainers.
This is a good topic, Stuart.
Yeah, so us as a trainer, do we have a responsibility to tell the person whether or not they should or shouldn't go in the ring?
Okay, so I think as a trainer, yes, I do think that.
On that point, I spoke to a few people this week about it, because they came and approached me, we had a few conversations about it, and quite rightly, a couple of the people that I train sort of play devil's advocate to that. And I said, if I said to you now, I don't think you should go in the ring with X dog, whatever, for now because of this, and they go, well, no, I'm just going to go anyway.
Yeah, and so we can't be responsible. So you can't be responsible.
So responsibility was a hard word to do, because ultimately it's the handler's responsibility.
Well, I think responsibility is the wrong word. I think choice is the right word. Yeah. So everybody has a freedom of choice.
Yeah.
Okay. If when I first started up, you try and listen to your trainer, but quite frankly, Stuart, I have the mentality that I know best.
Yeah. And a lot of people say, well, I know my dog, you only see my dog, you only see my dog once a week, and I.
So I will always say to people, I don't think your dog is show ready. I always recommend that they go into some sort of training show environment so the dogs can be rewarded in ring. But as I said to them, and it's exactly the same, it brings me right back to my pet dog stuff, right? Is if a dog can't carry out a basic command of sit in a nude environment, you shouldn't go beyond that.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that are going on. Firstly, Beth taught me that you need obedience in agility. Okay, so you do need an obedient dog, which means that you do need to do some level of obedience with your dog. Secondly, my head's gone and I can't remember what my second point was. Oh God, where was I leading to? What was I saying?
So you were saying that Beth taught you two things. One was
I can't remember what the second one.
But
I told you I was really no. So you need an obedient dog, but secondly, you need to make the right choice for you and your dog. So I have people that overthink it. So I have clients that were like, I need perfect before I go to the ring, and I'm like, oh no, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I'll come back to it.
All right, go on. Yeah, go on.
So the first thing when I would say take a young dog into the ring is generally I would ask for my dog to sit or down or whatever your weight position is, right? If they can't carry that out in their new environment, you can't go any further than that.
No.
You cannot go any further than that. So that's where people need to reward their sit weights or something like that and get out the ring. Now, to say to somebody, certainly in Essex, right, we don't have a show. We have 2 shows a year that are close by. I went to Norfolk for a show yesterday, which was 2 hours. So it's probably one of my closest shows.
Yeah.
So to say to somebody that you need to go to a training environment is tough.
Yeah, hard. Yeah, but I have a little bit with people that I train on a regular basis probably get fed up with me saying it all the time, to be honest. But I have a little bit of a bee in my bonnet about start line weights as being almost a must. If your dog hasn't got a start line,
it's an essential.
But then I get the other point where they come to me and go, well, that's quite a lot of pressure on my dog. And they don't want to put the pressure on the dog because the dog either shuts down or they have this issue.
Yeah. So
but then my argument to that is if that's happening, then they're not ready to be there.
so that brings me back to my first point, is if the dog can't take sit. Now let's just use a sit for a reason, right? Okay, so we've got a sit weight. Okay, let's just use that as a behavior, right? So you could, this is a whole
it's a
subject,
massive
really.
thing.
Yeah, because so when I teach in my class, right, okay, you're going to get your dog to wait. I don't generally use a sit wait because I usually work a lot of puppies and I don't want them sitting very much, but just you're just going to wait at the door, okay? So you're going to wait at the door. Now you're going to wait in the field. Now you're going to wait here. Now you're going to wait here. Now you're going to, so you generalize, don't you, behaviors very much. However, right, there are these dogs, and I have probably one definite I can think of who's a very high drive herding collie.
Yeah.
And this collie has been with me for 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. With COVID as well. It had trained another trainer as a young dog, and they'd built up massive value of training in the jumps, but hadn't picked up that it was herding, and they did nothing wrong, but it was kind of like a fun agility. So this dog does obedience, okay, and it has a 10-minute out of sight stay in obedience, right? Over the years, and the lady is the trigger, because that's what happens. So although she's the trigger, it's not her fault. She is the trigger, and agility is the trigger as well, right? I've got to the stage where she wants, because of COVID and everything, if I tell her to train it, the more she trains it, the worse it's going to get. Firstly, okay. So I've gone at it on a completely different head, where actually, do you know what? We're not going to get that dog to wait. We're going to throw it around the jump. And what I've tried to do is, because I believe, and it's really working, I've not tried it in a show environment yet, but the reason that dog didn't want to sit wait is because of what was happening in the ring. And what was happening in the ring is the lady was getting, I'm not mentioning any names, she wouldn't mind me mentioning this, but she gets nervous, okay? So when she gets nervous, she doesn't connect with her dog. So the dog then guesses, and of course its basic instinct of herding will come out. So it now associates the weight position with disconnection with the owner. So we've now gone with, right, okay, I'm going verbal cueing with absolutely everything. I'm trying to get the dog to understand its job better, and I'm also trying to get the handler to work on her cueing better, and it is really beginning to work at home. And yesterday we got a mini weight, but while we're on this, Stuart, I think we're also okay. So we're saying, so is that dog show ready? Potentially not, but Jesus, she's lost 2 years from COVID. The dog's now 6 or 7, but you know, I know the dog's not going to chase. It's not got a chasing.
I mean, that's the ultimate for me, isn't it? Whether it sits or not at the start line, neither here nor there, really. In this subject, for me, it's more about the cases. If you say okay to your dog or go, whatever your release cue is, and it pisses off across a ring and ends up in another ring or whatever, at what point? Because I don't think many of these situations get reported.
So are you trying to define whose responsibility it is?
I think, but I think responsibility is quite a hard word, because there's so many factors, there's so many people involved in it. Because when you go to a show to let your dog, you're going to come and compete. Ultimately, it's the handler's choice. Okay. So, and
it's also the handler's choice that whether you're going to put your dog at risk of that happening, as much as you don't want it to happen. There is an element there, isn't there?
So, and I know anybody's dog can have a moment where they, you know, I'm not saying anybody's perfect and everybody's got their perfect dogs, because I've had dogs chase me that have belonged to sort of top handlers, and they've chased my dog around the ring when they were youngsters, when they were puppies and stuff. So I don't think doesn't matter who you are in that way. So I'm not saying some people are better than others regarding dog training. But what I'm saying is that when the dog leaves the ring to either chase another dog or do whatever it's going to do at that point, there's got to be some sort of responsibility from the handler. There's got to be some sort of responsibility from the judge in that ring to either address the situation, report the situation. I don't know, you know, the ring manager, the show organisation.
Well, say,
because I don't think it always gets reported, or you know, always. I don't think that happens. It might be a case of a couple of people get together and go, really sorry about that, you know, sorry it happened.
Yeah, and that's where social media is so crap, isn't it? Because you know, these people, so I'm not, again, I've not seen a post or anything, but sometimes, and I don't use social media for this to myself, but I might chat about it on the van on the way home. It'd be like, oh, you know, so and so and so and so lady did, and you kind of like offload without thought.
Yeah.
But actually, you probably didn't do the right thing at the time and say, is the dog all right? Is this okay? Has somebody reported
this? Yeah, because
this?
I mean, the adrenaline's going to be going a little bit, isn't it? And your nerves and everything's going to be taking over. So you're going to be going, oh, I just want to get out of the situation.
Yeah, and so I think there's a hell of a lot of pressure going on at the moment coming out of COVID. So I think what's really, or coming out of the pandemic, whatever you want to call it, we are now returning into a much more normal world. So I, for the very first time in 2 years, I've just made a plan for June and I'm booking shows. So we all kind of believe that's going to happen. I think with that, there comes an element of pressure from people to get their dogs out, because people just want to get out. So I've got in the pet dog world a massive amount of issues that are now becoming apparent. This isn't agility related, but I think it links into the subject. I don't think dogs were under socialized. I think they were poor socialized. I also believe that I'm gonna mention a word which in itself is people are gonna say I shouldn't mention it, but I am, because it's a generic word. So I also believe that dogs have returned to some pack traits. So pack being a group of dogs, not in the fact that we've got to be assertive and all that crap. We were living in a nomadic state during lockdowns, which basically meant, in layman's terms, we were living as a pack with one of our dogs. We were all lazing around the house. We were doing not very much. So dogs are really quick at picking up behaviours, aren't they? Lots of us were dealing with lots of different emotions. So dogs don't do well in emotions. So I was just I'm still doing it. I'm doing a behaviour visit with 2 spaniels that pre-COVID weren't resource guarding, and now they're resource guarding, and we have had a bite there. And all those things. So years ago, or again pre-pandemic, I would say to people, you're not spending enough time with your dog. Now you're spending too much time with your dog. You know, because now your dog knows that, oh, that means that means that means that means that. You know, you've let all your boundaries go because they don't matter, because they're nomadic, because they're not. So there's no structure, is there? So again, my head's gone off on this today. The point of the matter is we're coming out. So firstly, are these dogs obedient? You know, so that's always my thing. You can teach a dog to sit or lay down, but do they actually choose to do it everywhere else? Secondly, have we got an under socialization point of view or a badly socialization point of view going on, which is why we are getting more dogs?
I suppose because before the pandemic hit, if you had a new dog, a new puppy, a rescue dog, or whatever it was, especially from an agility point of view, within a matter of days or weeks, that puppy was in a show environment, whether it liked it or not, or a training environment, whether it liked it or not, instantly. And they build up a resilience, I suppose. You know, and they build up a resilience to it, I suppose, and an understanding of it all.
And I think the one thing that we forget is, because we kind of like, you know, we've been in the agility world a lot of years now. So Nairobi, stepped straight into the show environment. You know, she's in that environment all the time. I noticed yesterday, I took her inside. I just asked her to sit, wait, and she flinched at the tannoy.
But you know from an experience point of view, whether you're a trainer or not, but from an experience point of view, being around shows for long enough, you know sort of what to expect or what to expose her to. At the right amount.
Yes. However, so she's 9 months old now. So she did a little bit at the back end of last year. So firstly, we've got first-time dog owners that potentially have done, and I think this is a really big thing as well, to potentially have done lots of online training. And lots of online training, because lots of trainers were offering online training. Lots of self-taught agility going on. Okay, and I'm not knocking it. Okay, lots of garden agility, lots of that sort of thing going on. I sometimes see, when I am following social media, if I've not got much to do, you'll sometimes see a post like that says like, oh, how do I enter a show? How do I do this? Because all they've been doing for 2 years is training on their own. So that dog not only has not been in a show environment, potentially it's not been in a class environment. No. So again, you know, it's like, well, you know, my dog's weaving, they're great, but can they weave at home? Can they weave in front of other dogs? Can they weave this? Can they weave that? I noticed yesterday, so I was at Agility Ability yesterday, lovely little show, but there was a nice big bit of arena that wasn't being used. So I just did a little bit of a dead toy with her, and I always leave her lead dangling anyway. Well, I put her in a sit, she's solid everywhere. And she, that's what I was gonna say, she flinched at the tannoy. Okay, she held her sit weight, but she flinched at a tannoy. When I released her to the toy, she, instead of bringing it straight back to me, which is a really good behavior, she paraded, and she parades out of nervousness, and it's not, she's not massively nervous, but she just like, so she went up to the regatta man and she just did a little parade. Fortunately, I've got, and this is where it comes to obedience, I've got a massively good recall, so I just recalled her straight in. So in other words, her recall, I've worked harder and rewarded her more, so it meant more to her than the environment. Where her dead toy stuff, it sometimes even at home, it can sometimes go a little bit of risk. So her reaction to the toy, to the tannoy, was one of shooting off. So and lots of people that have got first-time dogs wouldn't know that. Do you know what I mean? Or wouldn't necessarily be able to read that, or been able to, let's face it, if some of these dogs, this is their first agility dogs, they've not been to an agility show and never been exposed, and because they've been trained at home, maybe they've not had that trainer that said you need to make sure that you're training your dog in the ring.
I agree. It's a tough one as well, I think, because like you say, because people want to get out and they want to compete, and they want to get into, you know, they want to see their friends that they haven't seen for a while, and the shows are coming out. But then again, you're making a choice on your dog's behalf for your
but you
benefit.
Make a choice, right? Let's put it, you make a choice when you walk your dog. So again, you know, let's just look at it like that. You make a choice, right? You make a choice that, so if
you go down the park and you're going to let your dog off the lead, that's your choice at that point, whether you think it's good enough or not.
Exactly. Well, it's not just whether you think it's good enough. So yes, whether you think, you know, I work with people that don't want to let their dogs off the lead because, you know, they're not so sure about the recall, which is a great choice. But as well, so I scan when I'm walking. And I teach my dog owners to, like, okay, just have a look, you know, if that person over there, like, even if they're 200 meters away, if they've got generally if they've got a flexi lead in their hands,
and a ball
phone
flinger
on their ear,
and a ball flinger,
avoid them. Just get your dog out of there, you know. And sorry if I've offended anybody, but I do that, you know. If I think, oh God, that person is just certainly not in control of their dog, and I probably just stereotype there, but you know, you get the the gist, right? You know, I'm not meaning to offend anyone, but you can generally tell from people whether they're in control of their dogs. You know, if somebody saw me walking all 4 of my dogs together, which is like, I don't walk them on lead together, but they would say I was out of control, and I would agree with them, you know. So I don't walk all 4 of mine unless it's just to the van or just to there. I don't walk all 4. If I've got a street walk, I will do 2 at a time, because I'm not in
we do ours in shifts as well. We don't do any
because you're not in control, are you? We all have to make a choice whether we want to expose our dog. And I think we're a blame culture. Why have we got a portion blame? This thing's happened. You know, how bad has said person felt going home knowing their dog has done that?
I mean, we don't know that, you know. And I know at a show sometimes if it happens, you have that conflict and you get a few people butting heads about it, and perhaps it turns into a bit heated, etc. But are they heated because they are embarrassed about it? Is it heated because they?
Yeah, sometimes, and I think
some people don't recognise it as an issue.
I think we're all very passionate about our dogs as well.
You know, it can't be my dog. Never done that before, sort of thing.
I don't know. I'm going to put something out there that may or may not be controversial, and I'm not going to offend anyone. I don't mean to offend anyone, but I do. So show managers will generally have a risk assessment and an accident book.
Yeah.
And I think it should be the job of the ring manager to, you know, if I ring manage, I would certainly, does this need to be in the incident book, because the judge is already in a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I also think it potentially lays with the judge to speak to, you know, to control the situation, because I mean, or the ring manager or judge, let's put them together. Yeah. Because I think those two people ultimately are responsible for the smooth running of that ring.
Yeah.
So if that's the, you know, somebody that ring manager has says, but then does that lead to us saying that this, you know, when the show, you know, shows need to be informing that that's a ring manager's responsibility.
Yeah, because then you've got the point of where, like a ring manager, for instance, go, I don't get paid. I'm not going to get involved in that.
No, but it's a responsibility we all take.
Yeah, I agree. But there's going to come a point where somebody's going to go, well, you know, I'm just here to tick people off the list.
We're not asking for fault here. So fault and responsibility are very different. So we're not saying that, or I'm not saying that the ring manager is going to be at fault. No, I'm not saying that they're at fault, but I think it's ultimately the show organisers are not seeing what's in front of them every day, all the time. Yeah,
I mean, I've run shows, and you spend a lot of time in the secretary's tent or the office or wherever.
So you don't see.
You don't see anything.
So who would you rely on for telling you if something went wrong?
Ultimately, it'd be the ring manager.
Ring manager, yeah. So
ultimately,
right, okay.
Because we're always told as well, when we're walking courses and you see something that you're not sure about on the course, you think it's either a little bit dangerous or a little bit sort of, you know, something on the course that doesn't sit well. But I've always been told, go and speak to the ring manager. The ring manager will speak to the judge. Okay.
So when you organise your shows, okay, if somebody says to you, right, okay, can I ring manage? And I'm going to use you as an example.
Yeah.
And so somebody says to you, right, can I ring manage? Have you ever said to them, what's your experience?
No, not really. I've relied on, I suppose, I rely on them and knowing them, I suppose.
Knowing them is different. If you know them,
because I know most people. So most people that ring manage for us are the people that we know.
So knowing them is different. But so I've never been asked that question. Okay, I didn't ring manage up until about 2 or 3 years ago. It's quite a new thing for me, and I do enjoy it. But I've never been asked, do I? So you think about KCI, right? All the ring managers have to attend a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that show organisers, I'm not saying attend a meeting, but should have a document or something. 5 minutes at the beginning of the show that says the accident book is here. This is here. I need everything reported to the ring, and so that's where the responsibility.
But should that happen anyway? And as show organisers, we've just lost the art of that.
I think so. I think, or maybe we haven't. I don't know. So you know, I've not been to a show that it's happened, so I don't know. Some show organisers, you know, we'll probably get it like, yeah, we do that all the time. Yeah, and if you do, great. But
which is fine, which is brilliant.
That's your show organisers. Yeah. So then it's the responsibility of the ring manager. So so if I've not been told that. So I need to know. I need to say, right, okay, I'm ring managing this ring. Where's the first aid kit? Where's the risk assessment? Because suddenly I'm calling for a first aid kit. I don't know. Yeah. So that then is responsibility of the ring manager. Okay. So then we've got everybody else. Okay. They make a decision before they leave home as to whether or not they expose their dog. Okay. We all don't want it to happen, Stuart. Nobody wants it to happen. So but we all take that decision. Okay. The other thing, which is, we've said this before, and maybe we've done a full circle with Poppy and that, is that sometimes we have to make shit decisions that we don't want to do. So suddenly you're like, and it's being honest with yourself, isn't it? It's like, okay, I've not done agility for 2 years. I want to go to agility.
Yeah.
Actually, my dogs just chased the cockapoo in the park. I'm still going to go. Do you know what I mean? So that's the owner's responsibility is if there is, and there are exceptions. So you know, as far as I do, it's like Jesus, we've never seen that happen before, and genuinely, you've never seen that before. But you know, has a new person's, you know, who's been training online and maybe not been training with another trainer, you know, have they exposed their dog even to a group obedience class? You know, and that's a lack of education. So where the hell does that sit?
I think that was where part of my original post was, like I say, I wasn't trying to blame or get anybody to, what I wanted to do was from an agility community.
Cause trouble, that's what you wanted to do.
I was poking the bear, So basically what I was saying was, ultimately, it's obviously, I say obviously, it must be an issue somewhere because it's being posted about quite a lot. So whether it be a hot topic,
noticed it, but then
whether it be a hot topic or whether it be, you know, whether it be an actual issue.
Was it an attack or was it a chase?
Different ones are saying different things. The ones I've seen have been chasing. The other ones where dogs have actually gone to a fence ring and they've jumped 2 ring fences to get to another dog.
Okay, so the other thing is, I saw and spoke to the owner as well. So that I was at a show and a massively experienced champ dog who has never ever done it before ran up the side of a fence. Didn't go over it or anything, but it was in a small ring. So again, I think that's exposure. I think our dogs haven't been exposed to it. So it's being mindful, and so that brings me. So
even the experienced dogs that have missed out for a couple of years sort of regress a little bit, should we say?
Yes. So I think I was really fortunate in the fact that I did, fortunate or not fortunate, but I put myself out when the 4, you know, the cohort of 4 thing, the 4 rings, and you went and did 4 runs and then drove off. So I did some of those with Kip. So I think. Maybe maybe, you know, even the experienced dogs, we're rushing.
Maybe. But it was just that was, so what I was trying to say, like from a community point of view, what do we do about it right now? Instead of pointing the finger and instead of posting about it every week on Facebook or whatever.
I think as people, we ought to get away from blame.
But let's make a decision, or let's make, you know, even if it's somebody writes something down that goes into a show rule book or something that you have to go, right, you know, if your dog runs out the ring, isn't
it, right? We can sit here and talk about it, right? If this, you know, it's like, we'll press stop recording, you know, and then some people think, but maybe, you know, hopefully this is what we're about, removing boundaries, is that maybe someone will go away and think, okay, maybe my dog wasn't quite ready for that, or okay, maybe my dog should have an immediate drop down. I always say that every single dog in this planet, you should be able to go down and your dog drops down at any time. And I know as a agility trainer, I would say, you know, I don't want to overtrain it, I don't want to lose drive, but I do need my dog to drop down at any time and listen to what I'm doing, you know. So that comes back to basic training. So organisers, you know, they have hell of a big responsibility, but maybe one of them will look and think, oh, actually, we don't do that. Maybe we just need to share that document. But I think the most important thing, I think for all of us, like one of the reasons that I avoid Agility Net, and I'm only going to use it, there's nothing wrong with Agility Net at all, but it is the communal group. I don't want to see, after I've not been competing for 2 years, negative post after negative post after negative post. I don't want to see it. You know, I just want to go out, have a good time. So maybe again, Facebook's not the right place for it.
Maybe, I mean, I think that's quite a lot for most of it, to be honest, in most situations. But it'd be interesting to see. It'd be great to obviously see everybody's comments.
Let's have some feedback on
Let's have some feedback on it, because again, it's not a point in, I don't think we want to point the finger at anybody.
You were causing trouble.
I don't want to point the finger at anybody.
You're saying it's X, XYZ person. It's
but
this
what I want to do
You're going to
is,
have to text me and tell me who it was.
but what
No,
I
I'm
want to know is,
joking.
what I want to know is, if it is happening
Is there
more and
something
more,
that can be done about it?
it's got to be something we can do about it.
Well,
And shouting at somebody or pointing the finger or pushing them
I
down
disagree,
isn't going to make
right?
any odds.
I disagree. So I'm going to go back to the whole selfless thing, right? Okay. So you want to fix it?
Yeah, it's
to
got to
make
be
you
fixed.
feel better.
It's got to be fixed, though, hasn't it? It's got to be fixed.
Is it? Has it got to be fixed, right? That makes you a reactive person.
I suppose I'm looking at it.
So how many incidents have you seen? 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so maybe it's just become a hot topic.
Yeah.
Maybe it hasn't got to be fixed, and maybe this is all about you wanting to make yourself feel better.
Probably. Yeah. Probably is. But it made a good subject, didn't it? But it made a good subject.
I got my point across.
Yeah.
Boom.
But it made a good subject.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and on all joking aside, yeah, it's been an interesting discussion as always.
I think it'd be brilliant to get, like you say, all the comments and people's feedback on it, and let us know any ideas. And if anybody wants to come on and discuss it, if they want to come on.
And whose photograph is wrong?
Mine.
Is it yours or is it mine? I don't know.
Mine. Mine is definitely wrong.
But yeah,
if anybody has, even if they've had experience of this, or and something's happened and how it was dealt with or not dealt with, it'd be interesting.
Shall I let you into a secret before we go? We've got to sign off in a minute.
Yeah, go on.
Herbie, when I went to a show at GT, no, it was GT Vine, and so it's like UKA, GT and Vine.
Yeah.
And I went with my trainer. I didn't have a start line weight, and we went to reward 3 jumps, and he ran across all 6 UKA, including what I now know to be the Masters ring.
Yeah.
And someone going, if she ever gets hold of that dog, it's going to be really fast. So it happened even then, and he's now 11, 12, whatever.
Yeah. So it does happen, doesn't it? I mean, that's the.
I know. My trainer was with me, was like, you need to go and teach that dog away. You need to do this. And she was absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it's funny.
Did I know best? Yes.
Yeah. we always know best, don't we? We know what we want.
Yeah, cool. Absolutely. Excellent.
Cool. So I think that, so hopefully we'll get some comments and some feedback on that, and we'll get involved in that a little bit more. It'd be ideal. So yeah, we'll sign off on that lasting note, I think, and we'll.
I agree.
Yeah, and we'll catch up
before
another
we
time.
Upset anyone.
Yeah. Right. That's it then for today. Right then.